Good morning. As I was going through some news yesterday, just kind of perusing some things, kind of looking for what you'd call salt, I came across an article, which is a really, really great article. I mean, it's a fantastic article. It's from Salon, and it goes through what happens in the human body during spaceflight, zero-G, and things like that. And you'll see why in the first sentence, why this came up in a salt dive, if you will. But the article itself is fascinating, and it brought me back to a number of things that I'd thought about in the past or ran across, and a couple of those we'll go through here today. And we'll just kind of skim through this article. It's a very long piece. I'll, of course, link it into the comments here. It's a great article. But in the first sentence, you can kind of see why it comes up in a salt search. We'll kind of go through a little bit of it. I'm going to skim some, then go on into some other stuff related to it, which it got my mind thinking. This would be a little different. Wish you could escape the planet? Too bad life in space would suck. Earth can be tiresome, but you probably wouldn't enjoy living on the International Space Station either. This article from Salon, again, that I will be sure to link through here, is fascinating. But this first sentence, I think, tells you why it came in a salt search. Climate change, war, and fascism got you down? We can already see the perspective here. Other than that, though, it's going to go through here with some very fascinating things and some interesting facts. It's quite a good article for being salt-driven. Wish you could buy a ticket on a Europa Clipper spacecraft that's on its way to check if there's living slime on a Jupiterian moon. Before you decide to leave Earth and move to an outer space, consider life as an astronaut on the International Space Station. Imagine cohabitating with 8 other people in an enclosed area the size of a large airplane. You lived on a strict schedule broken into 15-minute increments, using a red marker on a computer tablet to keep pace with the daily routine of experiments and maintenance on all average 6 hours of sleep. You never shower. You instead rely on wet wipes and personal hygiene. Every human odor remains trapped around you in a cloud of stench that UK astronaut Tim Peake once compared to a barbecue that's gone wrong. You drink processed urine. Things only get uncomfortable from here. And as we go through this article, it genuinely talks about a lot of different things that happen to the human body in zero-G, weightlessness, and in space. Again, just going to go through a couple parts here. We're not going to go through this. It's a very long article. I encourage people to read it. It's easy to forget the joys of gravity while going to sleep or using the toilet on Earth, but the constant force that keeps us on the ground also helps us maintain bone structure and keeps bodily fluids flowing where we want them. Living in microgravity causes bodily fluids to become more evenly distributed, with up to 2 extra liters of blood becoming unnaturally congested in the upper body, triggering constant feelings of puffiness and congestion, especially in the head and face. So you essentially just feel like you kind of got a head cold 24 hours a day. That's great. That's great. Let's go through a few more of the other fun things that they don't tell you about from NASA. The way fluids redistribute themselves in space is also why astronauts can't burp without throwing up. The contents of their stomach become evenly pressed on the sides of the organ instead of settling at the bottom. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I personally, and you boys know, I enjoy a good burp. this would be a problem. This also causes urine to float along the sides of the bladder, which can prevent astronauts from feeling a need to pee until their bladders become completely full, leading to an unexpected, spontaneous need to urinate. So, from 0 to 100 is what that's saying. You don't have to pee, and then you're gonna have to pee. Like, right now. Crazy. Reduced pressure on the urinary sphincter is one of the many sensations dulled by living in microgravity, along with smell, taste, and sight. Increased pressure from redistribution of fluid in the nose inhibits nerve endings in the nasal passage, reducing the ability to smell and taste. One reason why wasabi and hot sauce are popular condiments on the ISS. Additionally, around 70% of astronauts who conduct long-term missions on 6 months or more in the ISS develop vision impairments. And this goes on to talk about how almost every crew is given glasses prior to their launch with a degree their prescriptions will change, adding crew members are often equipped with space anticipation glasses from the outset of missions in order to help them see after weeks in orbit. It's just crazy. It's just crazy what happens to the human body. It's just nuts. Little something about bones. Besides the redistribution of fluid in the body, changes made to the skeletal system by living in microgravity can cause longer-term health consequences. Without constant pressure of gravity on the skeletal system, calcium from bones leaches into the body, which besides weakening the bones themselves, can lead to astronauts to be at higher risk of developing kidney stones. Now that is a very unwelcome thing that you're going to get. A kidney stone? Passing that would be a whole lot of fun. And the article here continues to go on with bone density and things like that. This lack of gravity can cause astronauts to grow as much as 3% taller while in space as their skeleton realigns, then later shrinks to their original height after returning to Earth. Bone density may reduce around 1% for each month spent in space. And these are on long duration trips. And this kind of, makes you think about the long duration space journeys. Like Elon wants to go to Mars. We all want him to get there. We need to be a multiplanetary species. But there's things that we just can't control, such as some impacts of life in space can't be fixed through exercise. Astronauts in the International Space Station encounter high levels of radiation, equivalent to roughly 10 chest x-rays every day, or around 30 times the amount of radiation people on Earth experience on a daily basis. This has an impact on the cellular level. It can even lead to an increased risk of cancer. Astronauts typically undertake 2 or 3 missions throughout their entire career, and NASA aims to limit radiation exposure so that no crew member develops more than 3% increased risk of cancer. It's a dangerous profession. The cutting edge of the frontier. And it's very dangerous. And this also goes into some of the psychological things that can happen. Astronauts are allowed to initiate telephone calls with their loved ones, but they can't receive them. There's a 1-second delay in message communication between Earth and the space station. It's a very fascinating article. I'll be sure to link it. But, it really does lead to some things that I remember. One thing. I do have to bring this up because this makes me laugh. All right. Crew care packages are another way NASA supports morale. In the past have included items ranging from musical instruments, different kinds of food, books, and religious items, as well as a gorilla suit. A gorilla suit. So I clicked it. And this is real. and is hilarious, and I love it. This is brilliant. Tell me that's not brilliant. Tell me that's not brilliant. That's beautiful. That's hilarious. We'll do it one more time. Imagine the astronaut as he goes flying by here. Yeah. Surprised you didn't see a little trail of urine coming after him there. Probably wasn't expecting that. I'll be sure to put that in the link also. But zero-G, health impacts, things like that. Space is a dangerous place. And as I was looking for that, for salt, it just got me going down this rabbit hole. One that I kind of think is fun. And, in the past, we've had a great space program. Now it's basically Elon, because Boeing can't do anything right, and NASA is continually stumbling over their own feet. So basically it's Elon and men of vision. That's what this world is needing, is men of vision like Elon. And back in the day, Walt Disney. His company did a cartoon, obviously, but it was not a Mickey Mouse. It's more of a documentary style. It involved a couple of scientists and their legitimate theories of space travel. And the way they're going, it seems to be the way that we should be going. Elon is going in that direction. And we'll kind of cover that too. It's something else.
For the past half-century, the intriguing possibility of traveling to Mars in a spaceship has challenged the imagination of many men. Rocket ships of all sizes and shapes have been designed, but most of them rely on an enormous consumption of chemical fuel to escape the pull of the Earth's gravity. A spaceship using an electromagnetic drive to neutralize gravity is the obvious answer.
An electromagnetic drive. They knew then. I'm doing something here, I'm sorry. An electromagnetic drive. This is in the 1950s. They clearly knew at that time things that aren't really becoming public until now. We continue.
But such a device is still a dream for the future. However, at the present time, an atomic-powered spaceship has been suggested by a leading scientist in the rocket and guided missile field, Dr. Ernst Stuhlinger, who for some years has been working closely with the rocket engineer, Dr. Werner von Braun.
It is worth pointing out that Dr. von Braun was the lead designer for the Saturn V rocket. He's the man who got us to the moon. He was also a Yahtzee. And the Simon Wiesenthal Center said had he been alive currently, they would charge him with crimes against humanity. The reports that came out of his factory are horrible, hideous. He's an Operation Paperclip scientist. Operation Paperclip being the United States' covert program to bring scientists and high-value members of the German Yahtzee party over here to the United States to fight the communists.
This atomic electric spaceship features a revolutionary new principle that will make possible the long trip to Mars with only a small expenditure of fuel. Parts for the spaceship will be brought up to an orbit by conventional chemical fuel rockets. It will then be assembled in the vacuum of space.
Or will go up on Starship and may not even be assembled in space, but just be on Starship. We'll see. Only Elon knows.
This unusual ship will be 500 feet across and will carry a small landing craft for the final descent to the Martian surface. Located at the bottom is a small atomic reactor which furnishes a continuous supply of heat. This heat turns silicon oil into steam. After rising up a central pipe, the steam drives a turbo generator which produces electricity to run the ship. The steam is condensed in a giant circular cooler and used over and over again. In the thrust chamber, a platinum grid is electrically charged. The metallic element cesium is vaporized and blown through the white-hot grid. This ionizes the cesium atoms, and they are then electrically blasted out into space at the rate of billions per second.
An ion drive propulsion system. Again, this is the 1950s. An ion drive propulsion system. A nuclear-powered ion drive propulsion system is what's just been talked about right here. Incredible. Ahead of its time. Dreamers and innovators. Dreamers and innovators.
This thrust pushes the ship in the opposite direction. The atomic electric spaceship can operate continuously for a period of years. At the top of the ship, away from the dangerous atomic reactor, is cargo space and quarters for a crew of 20 men.
Notice the way the men inside are standing with their feet on the bottom, facing the outer part of the spacecraft, because clearly it would rotate to create artificial gravity. One of those things that would help with the skeletal structure, probably with the fluid issues that happen in the human body while in zero gravity and in space. We need gravity. That would be a way to do it.
Mounted outside on the thrust chamber assembly is the auxiliary landing craft. When our ship reaches Mars, the landing craft will be released, carrying men and supplies to the planet's surface. A drag chute will gradually slow the landing craft as it streaks into the Martian atmosphere. A few seconds before touching down, the main rocket motors will be fired and the craft will land gently on its nose.
And doesn't that look familiar? Because we've seen it now a number of times. We know what that looks like because we've seen it thanks to Elon. Two Falcon boosters landing at the same time. That's Elon. And that's what we're talking about here.
Later, the exploration party can return to the mothership by blasting off in the tail section of the landing craft. Here is the plan for our trip to Mars. It will take 13 months and 6 days. Starting 1,000 miles above the Earth, the spaceship will slowly accelerate for 4 months before escaping the Earth's gravity. For the next 7 months, the ship will follow a curved path, finally entering the gravitational field of Mars. An additional 2 months will be spent spiraling into a circular orbit 620 miles above the Martian surface.
the bicycle wheel, the classic bicycle wheel space station, you can see right there, is a classic in science fiction for a reason. Because scientists knew and know that we need gravity. We can't artificially create it unless we are spinning things. Crazy. Again, I just found this fascinating and I wanted to share it.
Here at the space station, our journey begins. The expedition is comprised of 6 ships. Time, a few minutes before departure. Final checks are being completed.
I do like the idea of a fleet of ships. One is too dangerous. We need redundancy.
At 0 hour, the thrust chambers are fired. We are underway. Our fleet climbs beyond the space station, beginning its outward spiral around the Earth. The speed is increasing steadily. After 4 months and 17 days, 850,000 miles out, the expedition finally escapes the Earth's gravity.
This is where radiation would be at its greatest. You'd be without any magnetic field of any kind, just the ship itself to protect you from the radiation of deep space, which is a huge problem. A huge problem. Plus, there could be sunspots, radiation storms, any number of things that would just fry you in this endeavor. Brave humans will be undertaking this. This is not for the faint of heart. Lead shielding, a lot of people are saying. One of the best shielding is also water. The very water that you'll need to survive might be the very shielding you need to survive. We only got a few more minutes left of this presentation. We'll continue.
At 6 months, 14 days, our speed has increased to 75,000 miles per hour. Mars is steadily increasing in size. The halfway point has been reached. The thrust chambers are reversed. Deceleration begins. The Earth grows smaller. At 7 months, 24 days, crew members witness a spectacular passage of the Earth across the face of the Sun.
Just how small are we? It reminds me of that picture taken by the Japanese spacecraft of Earth from a distance.
3 months later, the expedition is 700,000 miles above Mars, and the 45-day spiral in toward the planet is begun. Now, for the first time, the tiny Martian moons Deimos and Phobos are visible to the unaided eye. As we move to within 4,000 miles of Mars, we get a close-up view of the moon Phobos.
Phobos. Very interesting. Now, I'm just going to throw this in because it's widely known. A lot of people know about this. But this is astronaut Buzz Aldrin, second man on the moon.
explore the moon and develop the moon. We should go boldly where man has not gone before. Fly by the comets, visit asteroids, visit the moon of Mars. There's a monolith there, a very unusual structure on this little potato-shaped object that goes around Mars once in 7 hours. When people find out about that, they're going to say, who put that there? Who put that?
Did the second human being to walk on the surface of the moon just say that there was a monolith? An unnatural structure on a moon of Mars?
Where man has not gone before. Fly by the comets, visit asteroids, visit the moon of Mars. There's a monolith there, a very unusual structure on this little potato-shaped object that goes around Mars once in 7 hours. When people find out about that, they're going to say, who put that there?
That was the second man to land on the moon, who just said that there's a monolith, an unnatural structure on Phobos, a small moon of Mars. I find it curious that one of the things specifically mentioned here is also Phobos, and they mention the orbit time of Phobos. Maybe I should throw in something else into this video too, but we'll continue with this for right now.
After 13 months and 6 days, our voyage to Mars is finally completed. The ships are orbiting 620 miles above the surface of the planet. Before exploration begins, test missiles are fired to sample the strange new atmosphere.
Obviously, that won't be necessary. We know what the atmosphere of Mars is. We've landed enough probes and everything there now. We know exactly what Mars is and what the atmosphere is. That part wouldn't be necessary. But it's a cool cartoon.
Now the first landing craft is moved into position to attempt the hazardous 600-mile drop to the Martian surface. This is a crucial moment. Man finally walks upon the sands of Mars, what will confront him in this mysterious new world? Will any of his conceptions of strange and exotic Martian life prove to be true? Will he find the remains of a long-dead civilization? Or will the more conservative opinions of present-day science be borne out with the discovery of a cold and barren planet where only a low form of vegetable life struggles to survive? These questions will be answered by our space pioneers of the future. In solving the enigma of the red planet Mars, man may find a key that opens the first small door to the universe. Carried forward on the wings of modern science, man in the years that follow may discover the miracle of life as it exists in all its countless forms throughout an infinite creation.
curious also that the flying saucer was so present, so visible. Back in the 1950s, that was it. Flying saucers were so media-driven. Every newspaper, every comic book, every form of media, movies, television, everybody had the flying saucer, the classic flying saucer. It was just how it was. But going down that salt rabbit hole at the beginning kind of made me remember that video. I'd seen that at the beginning of when one of the Martian rovers had launched to Mars. They had put out a Blu-ray DVD in association with the Disney company that showed a lot of the 4K panoramics. A lot of the 4K panoramics, graphics, interpretations of the launch, the re-entry, things like that. It was a fascinating video. And they had that tacked on there, and I found that interesting because there's so many things back in the 1950s that they clearly knew. They clearly knew. And it's just dreamers and visionaries. Walt Disney and Elon Musk. Dreamers and visionaries. So I wanted to throw this in on the end to show that we still have dreamers and visionaries. There's two of them on this planet right now. There's one of them on this planet right now. And he's in the same tradition as another great visionary. Elon is, I think this is doing him an injustice, but he is the Walt Disney of our time. He's a dreamer, a visionary, an innovator. He reminds me of this man in many ways, except his dreams are bigger. The technology didn't exist in Walt's time to do the things that he truly wanted to do. That's why he created Walt Disney Imagineering. Elon, on the other hand, the technology exists for his dreams. Dreams and dreamers that create the world that we live in. Their dreams are our realities. Their dreams are our realities. This man had a dream. It's now a reality. You're catching spaceships with chopsticks.
Attention all flight crew members, this is the final go, no-go poll for operations. Raptor 1. Raptor, let's go. Raptor 2. Go. Stage 1. Go. Stage 2. Go. Flight directors, go for launch. We have liftoff.
Yeah, baby.
Vehicles pitching downrange. Max Q.
Ship engine startup.
Stage separation.
Booster back burn.
On Albion 0, 30 seconds till catch decision.
Confirming 30 seconds to make that decision.
10 seconds till catch decision.
Hot stage separation confirmed.
Flight director is go for booster return. Operator go vote is set true. We are go for catch.
Booster coming in hot for booster catch.
We are go for catch. We're catching spaceships with chopsticks. Dreamers create our realities. Elon His dreams are our realities. It's an amazing world we live in.
Booster FTS is saved.
And I ignite 13 of those Raptor engines, and this view is incredible right now.
I can't wait for us to hear the sonic boom.
Booster landing burn startup.
We can see those chopsticks now. This is absolutely insane. On the first ever attempt, we have successfully caught the super heavy booster.
The dreamers create our realities. Elon's dreams are our reality. Walt's dreams were our reality. I liked the contrast of putting the rockets landing backwards in reality. Elon's doing it today. Back to back with the 1950s animated version of the hope that we could do it. And now, as a species, we're doing it. And Elon, as a man, is doing it. The dreams of dreamers create the reality we live in. I just found this to be kind of a fascinating rabbit hole that I went down. I'm going to link everything here into the comment section, into the highlight section here. I know it's a bit long, but frankly, I had a lot of fun doing this. This is what humanity should be doing. Can we not blow each other up? This is the hope for humanity we need. This is what will bring us forward as a species in peace. There's always hope. And things like this are that hope. There is a light. There is a light. There is a light. There is a sunrise coming. We just have to work for it. We'll leave on that image. Thank you.